Hello and welcome to my PMP Exam Prep course. What you will see here matches exactly what you see in the PMBOK guide version 6. So we will start accordingly with the introduction, then go down to the environment in which projects operate, to the role of the project manager, and then take it on from integration all the way to stakeholder management. What you see below, project integration management all the way to stakeholder management, these are the 10 knowledge areas that are covered in the PMBOK guide. So let's move on. We'll start with the introduction. A project is a temporary endeavor undertaken to create a unique product, service, or result. It is usually progressively elaborated. Now, what does it mean for a project to be temporary? What it means is that a project would have a beginning and an end date. So projects are not like operations. They're not intended to keep running. And usually the sponsor or whoever is asking for the project to be done needs it to be completed at a specific date or time. All right, so the next term that we need to discuss is it is undertaken to create a unique product, service, or result. Many people confuse the term unique. The product, service, or result itself is not necessarily unique. We're not going to be making a new product every single time that we run a project. And it's not going to be unique at all times. But what's going to be unique is going to be the environment in which the project is going to be running. This means that if you run a project let's say, if you ran a project back in 2017, and let's say you built a home, a house, and that same client that you built the house for asked you to build another one in 2019. What you'll notice between 2017 and 2019 is that some aspects of your project would have changed. For example, the cost of some of the material would have changed, or the resources, availability of some of the contractors or subcontractors may be different. You yourself might feel different. You may be more energetic, less energetic. You may have problems that will drag you down, making you less able to focus, or maybe more efficient. Also, what would have changed would be regulations pertaining to building homes. Other matters that would change is value of currency, value of money, cost of products, and also the location of the house. So there are many aspects about the project that will change, and that makes the project unique. So it is unique in its circumstances. The last term that we need to discuss is the progressively elaborated part. So we say that projects are usually progressively elaborated. What that means is that we elaborate as we progress. Projects don't have to be defined in full or planned in full to every single tiny detail right from the start. So let's go back to the example of the house. If I was building a house, maybe initially I can just determine the size, location, dimensions, height, number of rooms, and basically the architectural structure of the house. And also I can figure out the permits that will be required and so on and so forth. But minor details like the color of the walls that need to be painted later, or any attachments to the wall, let's say cabinets, vanities, mirrors, smaller details like that, those can be left until later. So basically I can plan high level, and as I progress and move from phase to phase in the construction of the house, I can go ahead and plan the rest of the details. So we say that we are elaborating as we progress. Projects drive change. We don't run projects if we didn't have a need. Most of the times, an organization would have a certain problem or an opportunity that they would like to capture. So let's use another example. If you were Starbucks and you have several hundred locations in one specific country, and you have decided to change your point of sale systems. Now you're going to shift from an existing point of sale system to another one that allows you to, let's say, track some items, or maybe some business intelligence, like what time of day, what product, who was, what type of client is buying this, and maybe it has some inventory management features, and you want to roll out this system across all of Starbucks. Well, your current state is where you are right now, where you don't have this system, and your future state is going to be one where you will have the updated system. And your goal now will be to go from this current state up until the future state. And by doing so, what you're trying to do is elevate the performance of Starbucks. So organizations run projects because they want to enhance some aspect of their operations or business. So speaking of business, projects drive change in organizations, and they enable business value creation. Let's go back to the example of Starbucks. By Starbucks implementing this business intelligence based point of sale system, they're going to have additional abilities in collecting customer data, which would allow them in the future to be able to provide better products in the right locations. So we say that projects bring about change, good change, and they help drive an organization from their current state all the way to a future state that is supposed to be more efficient and more profitable and has better value to its own shareholders. Next, we need to discuss how projects get started. So the project initiation context here is looking at why an organization would go about starting a project. Why would they put some money into a project? Number one, they could be doing this because they have to, because some laws have changed. So to meet regulatory, legal, or social requirements, they would have to go about making a change. Let's say the tax laws have changed, and Starbucks currently has its old point of sale systems that were configured in a certain way that does not include the tax changes. Because of the tax changes, so this would be a regulatory and legal requirement, they would have to make changes on all of their point of sale systems to incorporate the change in taxes. So for that reason, Starbucks would initiate a project. You could also run a project for social requirements. A project could be for, let's say, giving back to society. You may run a project to, let's say, update a specific road because a community uses this road and it has become, not so sufficient anymore because of the traffic. You could also build a walkway for pedestrians because, the community or the neighborhood has changed and it requires that we build this walkway. So we say that projects could be started for regulatory, legal, or social requirements. You could also start projects because somebody asked for it. So in your organization, your management could ask you to, for example, implement an ERP system or a customer relationship management system because they need to track and update customer details. So this could come directly from a stakeholder. They could also ask you to build a library in the company. And that would come directly from one of the company's senior management. And so that we consider as a request that's coming from stakeholders. It could also be that we're trying to change technological strategies, or we're trying to change our business strategy. And because we're trying to do that, it may mean that we have to make some changes in the company's logo, website, or it could be in the way we manage our HR procedures and so on. So if we have some changes in the business, we might need to initiate a project. Finally, we may have something broken and we need to fix it. So a system that, for example, has gotten old, obsolete, and we need to replace it, we may initiate a project for that. So these are the reasons why a project may start. Now, needless to say, project management skills have become a strategic competency in most organizations. The reason organizations are interested in project management skills is that project management helps ties project results to business goals. So, if we execute projects more efficiently, we can compete more effectively